Right, so yesterday, reading my Bible, you know, one of those mornings when you get out of bed, make a cup of tea, get back into bed, and I was like, today I just feel like I should read my Bible first. That's what I'm going to do. I'm nothing better today, so do it. So I was reading in Numbers, still in Numbers 11. So I was in Numbers 9 and I just kept reading on. Numbers 11 and 23. And the Lord said to Moses, is the Lord's hand too short? You're going to see now whether my word shall come to pass for you or not. Basically, that's in my slang. But that's what that's saying. Other translations, it's like the NIV I was reading, it was like, it doesn't say is my hand too short, am I not mighty enough, basically? Do I lack might that you don't believe that what I've told you and promised you, what I promised you is going to come to pass? And all day, so yesterday was Saturday, Friday, all day on Friday I had a doubt. And we're human, and we doubt. And I read that, I knew what God was saying. Like, that was my word for the day. He was speaking very clearly yesterday when I was sitting reading through numbers of all books. And then I checked my phone, my Bible app, and the scripture for today. And I don't always do that. Like, it pops up on my screen. It doesn't always come through the notifications. But this time I went into the app because it was still the day before scripture to see what Saturday's scripture was, and it was exactly the same. It was talking about Elizabeth, Elizabeth, so Mary's cousin Elizabeth, who was pregnant with John the Baptist, and it's a scripture from there, and it says, blessed is she that believes the promise that God has given her, that it shall come to pass. Something like that. That's me, like, paraphrasing it, but go and look at it. It was Luke 1:45. How did I remember that? Luke 1:45, because I looked up the number 145 then in the concordance. So yes, Luke 1:45. I can't believe I remembered the scripture, and that's what it says. Both of those things are exactly the same. You just have to believe. Just believe what God has promised you, that He will fulfill it. He hears your prayers. He says that the Lord hears those that pray to Him, that love Him. If you love God, He hears your prayers, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Gives those the desires of the heart for those that love Him, for those that love Him and have a relationship with Him. So I just believe that. I believe God's telling me, like, it was just, whenever I read it in the Bible about Moses, it was like God going, because Moses was complaining. Moses was like, the Israelites are basically doing my head in. They keep complaining. Like, why did you pick me to bring these people out of Egypt? And they're complaining. And you know what? I'd rather die. He actually says that. Moses, like, I'd rather die than have to listen to their gurning and listen to the way they're complaining about being taken out of Egypt. And now they're moaning about food. Not having any meat. They wanted the finer things in life. And then God answers Moses, and He was like, I'll give you meat. I'm going to give you all meat so much that it's going to pour out your nostrils. And I was like, right? God is not happy, because this is what He's saying. And Moses is like, no, just kill me. Take me out. Just take me out. I can't do this anymore. And Moses is starting to give up, starting to lose heart. And God was like, am I not powerful enough to do what I said I was going to do for you, Moses? These people are coming out of this land. They're going to the promised land. And I'm going to show you now my power and my might. That what I promised you is going to happen. It's like, savage God. I was like, yes. And when I read this verse, it was like, it blew my mind. I was like, wow. You know, as I always say, like a wee bit of salt bay, watch this. Bing. You know, God will fulfill His promises. Don't think He won't. He's not a liar. He's not a man that He should lie. He'll fulfill His promises. And I just like, Lord, I receive that for my life. I know You've given me a promise. I know You've put it deep within me that this is going to happen for me. and I believe that what you corrected Moses, and you told him, and you're going to show him, and you showed him. You showed him all along the way the cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night, and his presence was always with them and guided them and took them out of the wilderness as far as the promised land. And then it was Joshua, actually. Joshua took them into the promised land. Moses got to see it, but Moses didn't get to pass over. But God kept his promise. So yeah, I hold on to that. And then when that second verse come up in the word, the wee Bible, quote the word for the day, like that was confirmation. So God, as I said before, when God says things twice, so Samuel, 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 he says his name twice. And Moses, Moses, he called Moses twice. When he calls people, he has a calling on your life. He makes sure you know he calls you not once but twice. And I take hold of that. That whenever God sends me confirmation, there's two things. Always ask for confirmation. God does it. God doesn't mind. And that was just confirmation for me that it was like, blessed is that woman, because it said she. Blessed is she that believes the promises that God has give, that it'll come to pass. And I was like, yes, okay, heard you loud and clear. So I hope to say that to encourage someone. God's not a man that he should lie. If he's promised you something, he'll do it. He hears your prayers for those that love him. Such a cracking verse, honestly. Numbers 11:23. And Luke 1:45. There you go. Actually remembered those scriptures off the top of my head. I'm dead proud of myself. Yeah, good verses. Quote them over your life. Quote them just as God has said to Moses, and just as God has said to Elizabeth. He also says to us. He says to us as well. Love it. God won't fail.